What's up, dudes? HW here. How the heck are you doing? It's a beautiful morning over here in Nashville, and I'm enjoying my my morning cup of joe while a crow, I see him hunting for worms out there. A little early for a crow to be up. I hope it's not a bad omen. Anyway, something historic is, I think, about to happen in the guitar gear world, and I don't hear anyone talking about it. And I want to talk about Headrush, and I want to talk about NAMM, because I think something very cool is about to happen. Now, before I go any further, let me tell you this. Serendipitous timing. I was about to record this video, and I got an email from the marketing department at Headrush. And they said, hey, would you like to discuss NAMM and Headrush? Which I thought, wow, I was actually about to make a video. So I have not had that meeting yet. I wanted to make this video so that I don't know anything yet before I have that meeting. But here's what was posted online. Headrush says that they're going to have a firmware update in this summer, very soon, that's going to incorporate NAMM A2. Let me catch you up if you don't know what's happening. What is NAMM? Neural Ant Modeler, open source capture technology, very accurate. The problem has been is that all the people who wanted to adopt Neural Ant Modeler, all of these hardware manufacturers, all of the modeler companies that don't have a capture tech of them for themselves, they haven't made one. They've grabbed this open source one, which is the point of it. Steve Atkinson, who made it open source so that people could make products on top of it. Tone 3000 has created the cloud for it, made it very easy to train and share your models with everyone. But right now it's mostly living on computers. Why? Because NAMM requires a good bit out of your processor. That's as simple as I can put it. So Tone 3000 and Steve Atkinson got together and said, here's our problem. A lot of affordable manufacturers make devices with this capability. NAMM currently cannot run on that capability. The models are too large. So even if you want to take NAMM and develop it into your own product, you still are going to run into this issue. The output still requires a certain processing power that your unit may not possess, and if your unit does possess it, it's going to move it up in price. So how do we get units like the Ampero and the Valtin and all these things which want to use NAMM, and those companies ended up creating a converter where it actually converts NAMM into their own format, but that messed up the quality of what players were getting. So Steve Atkinson and Tone 3000 got together and they created something called NAMM A2. What is NAMM A2? They just basically re-architectured the whole thing. A2 is architecture 2, and they said, what if we could have our big NAMM model, but there was an intelligent way to slim it down so that the processors on smaller units would be able to play it and play it without a loss in quality. How would they do that? They'd go from a great large number of parameters to shaving off some parameters and a smaller number of parameters. HW, is that ruining the quality? They say no. They say even NAMM Lite performs better than all the competitors, QC, ToneX. You can go look up videos on that. That's a claim. I'll let you be the judge. There's listening tests and stuff out there. That's not my hill to die on. What I'm interested in this slimmable version, they basically said, okay, what if we could take NAMM A2 with all its, it's like the 40-year-old with all its wisdom, and it's like, but what if we could go back and get that version of him from high school? He's lighter, he's more spry, he's a little less wise, he's maybe a little foolish, but hasn't learned all his lessons yet, but he's light on his feet. That's the slimmable, lightweight, NAMM, and it can do this easily. So it can kind of click from bigger to click to smaller, and you're not supposed to have any difference in sound quality. But here's now the issue. Everyone has expressed, wow, this is amazing, this is amazing, this is amazing. But still, if you're someone like me who makes stuff for NAMM, who enjoys playing NAMM on their computer, but would like to take it with you, there are not a lot of options. A lot of these cheaper units out there that run NAMM, they don't actually run NAMM. Like I said earlier, they use a converter to take NAMM and convert it into their own proprietary format. And usually they just use a software to run the NAMM model through their own training thing and makes their own output. It's not NAMM. It's their thing trained from a NAMM model, which is nice for users to be able to do that. However, in my experience, sometimes it really tanks the quality. It's really not good. Sometimes it's okay. Sometimes it's pretty good. But that's where we are. So users like me are sitting around going, all right, man, I wish I could just dump these in Helix. I wish I could just dump these NAM things in Quad Cortex. Like, why can't I use that? And this big community that's built around NAM, people have been buying these captures, they're using it. They're like, okay, but what can I drop it in? And right now, there's no real solution for that. But Headrush, it looks like they are about to be maybe the first to do that. And this is very interesting because Headrush already has a product line. And not only do they already have a product line, but I'll tell you, from being a Headrush sort of creator, I've created packs for Headrush, not as many packs I've done for other things. And I've poked my head in that Headrush community. There are a lot of people who really like the Headrush, and that's because it's a pretty good buy for what you get right now. I did some videos on this channel comparing Helix to Headrush, Helix OG to Headrush, and I was really surprised at Headrush really kept up. All the modeling kept up with the Helix, and it offered a touchscreen, and it offered this capture technology. We've successfully used the capture technology, and there was updates to it, and super clones where you could stitch together different things. A lot of really great stuff came out for the Headrush, and we've made products with that. But I've really enjoyed the visualization on the Headrush with the editor and with the unit itself. And I've really enjoyed the ecosystem. You know, maybe Fractal has the best effects out there. Maybe, you know, Kemper has the best reverbs. Maybe Tonex has the best of this. Maybe Quad Cortex has the best, you know, delays or mods. Whatever your, you know, thing is, that's fine. But in the Headrush, there is plate reverbs. There is spring reverbs, hall reverbs, there's tape delays, there's dual delays, there's digital delays, there's analog stuff, there's big ambient stuff, there's tube screamers, there's clones, there's blues breaker style stuff, fuzz boxes, big muffs, compressors. It's a full ecosystem designed to build entire rigs, right? It's all in there. And where in the past, they've taken, you know, some Revolver stuff from here and this and sort of put it together into something, you know, a pretty good offering with really nice hardware. I think it's actually really nice hardware. This allows them the opportunity to basically grab the most accurate amp tech, capture tech on the market, shove it right in their system in a firmware update, and really have an offering that I think is going to be priced competitively way below everybody else, and maybe be just as good in the end. If you're a NAM user, this is where I think the upside really is for a company like Headrush and all these companies. There's a large amount of NAM users out here who would like to take it with them on a gig. They're already using the tools on their computer for recording and stuff. They'd like to take it with them, and what they're having to do is rebuild that stuff with other gear, rebuild their sound, or try to run a laptop. So there's a huge amount of NAM users worldwide that I think are going to grab something like a used Flex or a used Prime or a used Core. And I think you're going to see the used market just go gobble up all these Headrush units, because all of a sudden it's going to be, I think, the best player for NAM. Now, that's if they implement A2 before everybody else, and they have a full ecosystem in there. Somebody else could jump out and do it first also. But I think, you know, having that touch screen is a really nice thing, and they have larger unit, medium, you know, the Flex, the you know, take it with you, and the Core, you know, the smaller unit, so that you can kind of integrate even on a pedal board. Their form factor, Headrush is actually like ahead of Line 6 in the form factor thing. They basically had a Helix with a touchscreen first, for lack of a better term, right? It looked like their gig board. They came out with, it looked like a Helix. They added a touchscreen, the Prime, and they added capture tech. That almost is the Stadium. But now they have a they have smaller versions of that, which remind me of the big, you know, Helix with the pedal and the smaller one. So it kind of feels like the slept-on platform, but for the reason that, you know, maybe people weren't as excited about the capture tech that was in there. Maybe this, maybe that, maybe it just didn't really get going. It's hard to build a community, but there's a huge community around NAM. And so I think what we're about to see is something historic, where a firmware update actually takes a unit that's in 5th, 6th, 7th place here in the modeling world and actually pushes it up to, I don't know, third, second? I don't know. The thing that's tough about this is their price point is about to be so much lower, but they're going to have potentially, if as long as there's no conversion or loss or whatever, they're going to have the most accurate capture tech on the market at a lower price point and a touchscreen. That feels to me like exactly what everyone's trying to make. And maybe people are going to go, I don't like the effects as much. Well, I mean, yeah. They have smaller units that you can integrate with a pedal board or with another multi-effect. So it's almost like you could almost even buy it just to be a player. And there are full NAMM players that are about the cost of what one of these Headrush units is going to be.